streaming. So we are live. Refresh the page. Stream is starting. It says it's live. So if I refresh this now, yeah, we are live. So that's good. Hello everyone, it's Matt here. I don't think there's going to be any watchers at the moment. It is only 20 seconds in to the stream. But may I welcome you to the October 2018 vlog. There is an itinerary posted in the description, but essentially I'm going to be going through the notepad. I've already written it all in order. So arrivals first. Arrivals is always a good important one. 2 packages. We have this one here from the Netherlands, and this from that sound contains Lego, as you might expect. There's also this rather nice thick package here, which actually contains books. So I'm going to try and open this with my measly hand. Let's go and get a knife actually. Got my good old Browning here, so should be able to just slice this open. And then I fold the knife away. There's nothing else, cool. So, get rid of the envelope and some tape holding these on together, but so we go, and here we are. The first one is a slightly tutty version on the outside, but nevertheless it's probably quite decent on the inside, and it's actually the New Haven Railroad along the shoreline, the thoroughfare from New York City to Boston. And this is a book I owned many years ago. And actually gave it away to one of my former friends back in 2012 when I went to America on holiday. And it's actually one I kind of wanted to get back again because there's such a nice variety of photos in here. A lot of them are black and white, but there's lots of photos of steam. And quite a few of like freight cars and stuff like that, which to be honest haven't really been published anywhere else. So even if the content is possibly slightly inaccurate, you know, a lot of the stuff that is in this book is literally just photos, and there's, you know, like photos like this which are in my mind quite a good view, because you get quite a lot of the sort of like, not necessarily the trains, but the setting they're in. And I think that's important when you're trying to model trains, is that you're not just modelling trains, you're modelling the area they're actually supposed to be in. And it's loads of little descriptive pieces that are in the captions, but you might not find anywhere else. And it's little bits like that which makes books like this really useful compared to just random photos from Google or stuff like that. And the other one is Railroad Signalling. This is by Brian Solomon, so some of you may have heard his name. I personally don't think I've got any of his work outside of the MBI Railroad Pictorial History, which I might be wrong, but you know, it's a book like this which is quite nice. I mean, as somebody who doesn't actually live in America, finding a book like this that was less than RRP is fantastic. Both of these books are actually being sold by somebody in this country, and these are actually on Buy It Now auctions for far less than what people on Amazon were wanting. And I think there was a specialist bookseller for like transport, and they were cheaper than him even. So here they are in glorious detail. These will be going onto the little trains bookshelf I have behind me, if I can find some room for them, if there's actually room for them in the first place. So that deals with arrivals. In terms of going on to other bits of news, OcTRAINber, which is October but for trains, is officially launched by Brickliner today. And for those of you who've actually not watched my channel recently, I've actually already launched the model I'm doing, which is a New Haven Y3, which is better known to the world as the United States Railroad Administration 080 switcher, or switching locomotive. So from that perspective, it's going to be not necessarily the easiest model to model, because it is quite diminutive, especially the wheelbase compared to the size, but it nevertheless presents a nice challenge. It's something I'm not used to. Normally, if I'm building a loco, it's fairly big. It's normally a 280 as a minimum, and probably even bigger than that. I don't really dabble anything smaller than that, except for maybe diesel's weight, but it's a bobo, so you don't have the sort of like connecting rods and all the valve gear and that sort of stuff. So it's going to be a neat little chance to try and fit that into a small package, such as the Y3. And I've already launched 2 episodes on that. The first episode saying the launch and what the rules are and the announcement, if you like, and then the second episode, which is going on about the scaling, because it's such a small loco, it's scaling it, so how many what scale am I modelling in and that sort of stuff. So it's important from that perspective to try and work out how big I can make it, what I can fit in it, especially because I want to try and make it a working loco, so it's not going to be a static display piece. I want some gears in it to drive the axles, I want a motor in it to actually power it along, and then I've also got to fit in a battery and some form of control mechanism. So that, to get in a loco such as the Y3, it can be a bit difficult, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future, at least. For events for October, there's something which kind of falls into October but not really is October, and that's Brick Live at the NEC in Birmingham. I'm personally not volunteering this year for a couple of reasons. The first one being is that I actually can't volunteer because the time of Brick Live this year doesn't fall into non-term time, and my new job means I can't actually have time outside of I can only have time outside of term, I should say. So I can't actually have time off to do Brick Live. So from that perspective, I'm actually cutting back what I'm doing. So I won't actually be volunteering on the Saturday or Sunday either, because the way I did previous years of volunteering for Brick Live, I always did 1 or 2 setup days and then maybe a show day, just to sort of get the ethos of it's all been set up, is there anything needed, and then go off. And then last year was a bit of a change around. It was more for the people who are running the show actually changed a bit, so it's more focused on gaming and that sort of stuff, which kind of took away from what a Lego show is about, which is Lego. Even though it was video games, it was more sort of moving away from Lego, so I sort of went, this is probably going to be the last year I'm going to be doing it. So from that perspective, I'm not going to be volunteering, but I have offered my models to Blocks, who actually will have them at the stand. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing my models into work on the Wednesday, which is the end of the month, and then the show opens on the Thursday. So what happens is on the Wednesday after work, I'm actually going straight to the NEC, dropping my models off and setting them up, and then picking them back up again on Sunday. So on Sunday, I'm probably going to be going anyway to help volunteer at the Fairy Brick stand, if Kevin needs me. So, I probably should be about Sunday at some point. So, if you're there, hi. But yeah, that's sort of something to consider, because there's a couple of things with that. Is A, what do I take? Because it's got to fit into a certain size area, and B, how am I going to transport it? Because obviously I don't own any official transportation method for my trains yet. I do have a couple of theories behind that, which I'm going to be sort of sketching out and discussing with a few people from that perspective. Moving on to other things now. There will not be a Brick Model Railroad car update, or freight car update I should say, this half of the month. I'm currently waiting for a couple of Bricklink orders to come in to sort of finalise a few cars and do a bit of detail work. I will show you one little sneak peek, and I'm going to mask the centre of it because it's not quite done. But this is the Hooker chemical tank car. So you can sort of see it's this really nice bright orange. There's still several pieces missing, several pieces in the wrong colour. The ends are going to be a bit of a difficult one because they don't produce the dome piece in orange. This is actually bright light orange. This is actually the closest orange Lego do. So I might be having to take out the paint and the paintbrush to the domes to get those the correct colour, which is a bit of a shame, but such as it is. There's a few other bits and pieces going on with the Brickliner cars as well. Some of the stuff which I've been building in secret, which I'm not actually publicised yet, so hopefully with the next couple of orders I can spend a weekend or two finishing off a few, or finishing up to a presentable state, and then I can go through some photography for them and get them sorted that way. And at the end of the month I'll be able to do a big sort of like, here's some official photos, and you know, upload a load to Flickr and sort of say here's a full album if you want some proper photos, if you're you know, you want to have a look at them and that sort of stuff. Moving on from that sort of stuff to gaming now. I've actually canned the Captain Spirit series. I've actually deleted them from the channel as well, and I've actually uninstalled the game. It's a game where there's no achievements to be earned via Steam, and there's no real story particularly that pertains to future games in the Life is Strange series, so I've sort of gone, everybody else has done gameplays already, it's not really worth me spending my time rehashing stuff that other people have done, so I've just canned it and sort of gone, you know, that's it, it's dealt with and gone. I will pick up Before the Storm and Hidden Folks again, hopefully later this month, if I can set some time aside. My new job does sort of take a lot of my time up, so obviously I'm trying to get some of the more Lego focused stuff such as OcTRAINber out of the way, or at least focus on those sort of things to get those sorted before picking up gaming again. And obviously October is actually a quiet month because there's not much in the way of events and that sort of stuff, so hopefully I should get some more sorted about that. Euro Truck Simulator 2 and American Truck Simulator trailer ownership updates are now live. They were made live last week, I believe it is, and I actually played a little bit of them over the weekend, so I've actually been able to buy a few trailers and allocate them and do a few other tweaks. So at the moment I really like the UI. It's nice and simple, pretty much just like the customizing a cab unit version, but with obviously a few bits and tweaks, so that's good to know. Oregon is launching for American Truck Simulator on the 4th of October, and then you have Beyond the Baltic States on the 20th of October. Oregon is one which is probably going to be a day one purchase. You know, it's fantastic to get an expansion for American Truck Simulator. And if it's anything like the Crone trailer DLC, hopefully it will make the global top sales chart. I mean, it did make second with the Crone DLC. Hopefully Oregon will match that, hopefully beat it. You know, we're a small sector, but hopefully we can beat the others in for global top sellers for a bit. But Beyond the Baltic Sea is not really a priority for me at the moment. My main focus for Truck Simulator is actually to try and get American Truck Simulator a bit more developed. Euro Truck Simulator, I can do a couple of missions and earn $1 million, because obviously I've got all the other drivers with me, and now I've got buying a few trailers as well. My profits actually increased because I'm not having to borrow trailers, so there's sort of that bit of a feedback loop where I get more money because I own trailers, and then it's a snowball effect from that sort of thing. And then obviously there's a few back to Lego updates that have been kicked to the long grass. It's unfortunate that I have to do this, but ultimately there are other things that take priority, such as getting some of the BMR cars finished, and getting those done and out of the way as far as I can for now, and getting other stuff sorted such as OcTRAINber. These are the Brickliner, the Suburban tank engine, and the AGEIR box cab. The Brickliner, I want to do a bit more research because I'm probably going to be changing the train around to being a 6-car rake instead of a 5. So obviously I'll be changing, I think primarily I'll be changing the kitchen slash dining car and splitting that up into a kitchen slash stores car or pantry car, so that it's all in one car, so that I can eliminate sort of the dining section to really make the kitchen something special. And kicking the dining section for standard class into its own section, so it sort of doesn't interfere with other coaches in the rake. For first class, that's not too much of an issue. I can probably just put a dividing wall into another car and sort it out that way. But you know, it's an easy way in some respects to gain an extra passenger car for what should be a fairly bigger train than what it currently is. I mean, 5 cars isn't really a lot, to be honest. The Crusader train only had 5, but then again, it wasn't as long haul as what the Brickliner is supposed to be. So I'm trying to get that sorted in that way. The Suburban tank, I need to rebuild the current chassis because it's actually too long. And in actual fact, some of the elements I've actually been used for chassis have actually been used in the painting rig I've had for the Susquehanna hopper pieces. So the brake cylinder and the 1x1 plates with clips and all that sort of stuff were actually mounted to these. Originally, these were the Star Wars lightsaber hilts. So I've actually put the sort of pieces on here as I was painting them and turning around and that sort of stuff. So this has been the sort of like priorities to actually dismantle this and actually get those parts back and then actually use them for the Suburban tank. I still want to do a bit more work on it in terms of LDD because I still haven't swapped where the motor position is to the front of the engine. To sort of help with weight distribution. There's still a few more bits I want to do from that perspective. And once I've sort of got the sort of 6 sort of couple, the powered wheel section and then the coal bunker where the battery is sorted, and I can sort of squeeze everything in, and then I can sort of focus on that and then testing it and make sure it actually works, making sure it's actually fairly balanced. Because obviously there'll be other stuff. Also, there's a leading bogie, but obviously if I can sort of get the bulk of it done and working on the wheels, then I'm happy, and then I can start working onto the body and getting that sort of packed out and rounded and filled out, because obviously it's not a straight copy of a regular Suburban tank engine because it's customized with the side tanks, which are really, generally speaking, a European thing. If you're going to have a Suburban tank, you want some really good water tanks on it, which the Americans didn't really seem to catch on to. So I want to kind of do that and fit that in and get that sort of, because the other thing is as well is having side tanks actually helps mask the motor section and that sort of stuff and gives you a bit of leeway, if you like, for that sort of perspective. The box cab, I need to do a second bogie because it's only got the one at the moment, and I need to sort of do a few more part swaps. I think the main body as per se is actually complete. I think there's the only things really missing are underframe detail, and then obviously some sections of roof. But the roof sort of sections I can't really complete until I've done all the cabling and the wiring and got the power functions receiver installed in the one cab. But I don't want to get the power functions stuff sorted until I've got the mechanism sorted and working, because obviously once I put the receiver in, I can't really get to the one powered end. So I want the bogie to be in, I want it to be tested, I know it works, and then I can sort of deal with the rest of it and polish it all up and pack it all together. I then sort of do a sort of like It's Here sort of video and go through some of the hard, sort of the presses and the hard work to actually get it to that point. That's it in a sense for anything on the itinerary for the vlog. If there's any questions in the chat, I see MNKO has already commented on AO. But if you got any questions for the 3 watches I have, I'll see, type them out now and I'll answer them if you got any. But yeah, that's pretty much it for news. In actual fact, I don't need that anymore because it's in here. So I can actually close it off. Oh, am I going to the Bristol Brick Show? I don't think so. I think that's actually in October. Let's just have a check. No, it's November. Possibly. I need to work out transport because obviously I'm reliant on public transport for any events I go to. So Bristol isn't too bad to get to. I think there's actually a train from New Street because I'm reliant on most things of going into Birmingham and then going back out again. So I go to National Rail. Let's work this out now. Let's actually go to National Rail and see if I can. So from once it's finished loading, from Birmingham to Bristol, all stations, leaving. Let's put it for this Saturday at 8 o'clock. Let's go. It says it's going to take 2 hours 30 on the train, so possibly. Let's have a look. So that is going. I see that says it's Saturday from 10 till 5. It will depend on a few things. It's where it is. Let's have a look. Doesn't actually say where it is helpfully. So it's Action or Bamfield, Whitchurch, Bristol. Right, so let's go to Google. Let's do some live event planning. So it's Bamfield, Whitchurch. So it's at Action Indoor Sports. So there's the road, Bristol. That's not too bad. Is it the 17th? The issue I have is, as it's a Saturday show, I'm trying to think. 17th, yeah. Because of the times, possibly not. Because normally for these things, I'd normally go as a volunteer because it's a Brook Central show. So it's actually my lug show. So I'd probably sort of prefer to go as a volunteer rather than as an exhibitor because it means I can sort of help set up and do that sort of stuff. I mean, it is feasible. But the other thing is it's actually cost as well. So if I was going to, for example, add a return, because let's face it, I want to come back from Bristol. As much as I like Bristol, I've only been to it a few times. I do want to kind of come back as well. So if I was going to leave at say 7 o'clock, so leave Birmingham at 7, leave Bristol at 7. You're looking at ticket costs of about £40, which isn't too bad. But to be honest, it remains to be seen whether it's actually worth doing that. It might be worth just visiting because as a Brick Central show, I should get free entry. So I think that was the deal. It was just like free entry to any Lego shows we do. So I might not be able to go as a volunteer, possibly as an attendee, but remains to be seen if it's actually worthwhile. I mean, it is over a month away. So I'll probably make a decision about whether I'm actually going to Bristol probably for the 3rd, because that's the two, so it gives 2 weeks to arrange any transport and that sort of stuff. So yeah, at the moment, possibly, remains to be seen. Swindon. I think Swindon's actually in October. I did actually have a look at Bristol because there was a few things about it. Yeah, 6 that's on 7th October. That's this weekend. No for Swindon, because I've got other stuff planned. Primarily, I want to try and get whatever free time I have on weekends either dedicated to two things, depending on which you prefer. Gaming, so trying to get some more gaming video content actually on the channel. There's a few Overwatch highlights which I want to try and get out. And speaking of game as well, I need to start doing my Overwatch competitive placement match as well, because I haven't done those yet. And the other one is trying to get OcTRAINber, the project for that, partially developed a bit more. And because I'm getting some more Lego orders arrive, videoing those, because I don't really want to use the parts until I video the arrival. So get those unboxed, video the unboxing, sort of here's this part, here's that part. Once that's out of the way, I can actually pretty much just use them straight away. I mean, I have done before where I've done the unboxing, done the recording, and pretty much 3 seconds after I've pressed the stop button, I'm taking the parts and actually just putting them into models and doing that sort of stuff. So it would be nice to go to Bristol, but no guarantees obviously because it's cost and that sort of stuff. If I am going to Bristol, I would like to try and bring the Brook Central boxcar. It's actually just out of shot on the sort of shelf you can sort of see here. So it's actually on that shelf, just out of camera shot. It's actually had one of the bogie sides pop off, so I need to fix that sort of at some point. There's actually quite a lot on that shelf I'd like to show, but won't show for obvious surprise reasons. One thing I will show off actually while I'm here, which the people of Instagram have seen, is the tractor load for the ETS flat car. And you might be sort of wondering why am I showing this off. I might have already seen this. Well, for those of you who haven't seen it, this is actually pretty much complete. There are a few changes compared to the instructions. For example, this now actually has 2 RD4s and a D4 on it. So the 2 at the front here are actually RD4s, which are a 1930s Caterpillar tractor, and then this is actually built pretty much from the instructions with a few tweaks, mainly to the funnel actually, and the fact it's in grey rather than yellow in the instructions. But what I'm trying to do is actually convert all 3 to RD4s, so there are a few things to do with that. The first one, and the primary 2 things to do, are changing the front of the tractor from this sort of like sloped front to this more sort of slab sided front. You can sort of see it's quite flat on this front one, even though that's the wrong colour there. And the reason for that is that this actual sloped one isn't actually authentic to all D4s either. I've found about a roughly 50-50 rate for the this sort of angled front compared to the slab front for the D4s. So I think it was more of a later modification to possibly increase the radiator space, but don't quote me on that, I'm not a tractor expert. And for the D4s as well, the front sort of like top layer of stuff is actually the other way around compared to the D4, so there's that little change as well. And there's a few other things as well which are wrong. I've changed the sides as well, because I'm not actually having the plough on. I've actually changed those to a 1x3 tile instead of the little bit, so it actually does neaten everything up a little bit. It should be more centered, so I might see if I can change that round, but it's sort of little bits and pieces to try and get it a bit more accurate and a bit more realistic. The other major thing that's actually wrong with them is actually that they're too far, if I hold them to the camera, too far backwards. The actual track should actually end right at the end of the seating section, so there's actually a larger overhang at the front, so where this sort of line is from the end of the sort of track, it actually ends here. It should actually end all the sort of there. So these actually need to move back a stud to try and get them into a better position. Again, I think I'll leave accurate details to the late BMR car update for the end of the month, but I just thought, as YouTube hasn't seen this yet, it's better to show off. For the tractor colour, I did actually, that's a good point, I did actually want, or some people suggested green, and I would have loved to have done green, but again, Lego don't make all the parts in green, and I don't really want to get the paintbrush out again just to paint 2 pieces green for a tractor. Pretty much every other part was actually available in green though, so who knows, maybe Lego might be generous and, you know, instead of just hoarding the parts for their factories, they can actually hold them. So anyway, that's that little bit sorted. I think that's going to be it actually. It's now just after 8 o'clock, so I'm going to try and neaten up and possibly do the unboxing. It is was dependent on the battery charge, so I've got 57, so I might go off and do that now. So yeah, it's that's it for the vlog. It's been a bit of a longer video than I anticipated, but that's it for now, and hopefully there'll be some more updates coming up very soon.